Hello and welcome back to another character creation video. My name's Lumen and today we're having a look at Legacy, Steel and Sorcery. Explore the dangerous beauty of Legacy, Steel and Sorcery as you race to find lost treasures while battling players and monsters in merciless action combat. But make sure to find your way back to safety before it's too late or risk losing it all. Legacy, Steel and Sorcery is a third-person action PvPvE extraction RPG featuring distinctive fantasy classes. Go on an adventure solo or with friends to search for treasures, level up, and defeat any who stand in your way. The game is currently still in its infancy. This right here is the open alpha that we're about to look at, and we're just getting a preview of what's to come. It's pretty bare bones right now in some ways, but it is looking fantastic already. What they have here I really like. The visuals have absolutely blown me away. So I'm super keen to jump in and take a look and no doubt cover it going forward. The devs have said that they're working on additional classes and maps and social features and game modes and so much more to get the game ready for early access. So you can know that there's going to be a lot more coming. We're going to jump in now. And we're going to have a look at what's available in terms of the classes. It's going to be a pretty quick look. If you'd like to do a deep dive to discover all there is to discover about Legacy, Steel and Sorcery, you can find some links below. And as always, there will be timestamps. I did mention, however, it's going to be a pretty quick video. There's not a whole lot here. A lot of what you do in the game comes from looting items, bringing them back to your quote-unquote base, equipping them, mixing things up like that. Your character selection is only a small part of what goes into it, but it is also a big part because it's the entire identity and playstyle that you pick in. So, let's get started. First up, I'm going to mention it here, and I'll mention it probably going forward a few more times. You know, when you pick a character name here, it is the first name of your character, and then you combine that with your house name, which forms up the last name, so you've got a name and a surname. Your regular name can be changed later. Your house that you create is your account name, basically. That doesn't get changed. So, we're going to start with the warrior. The warrior is a fearless fighter, wielding heavy and medium weapons to overpower foes with sheer strength. Resilient and relentless, they stand at the front lines, crushing all who oppose them. And clearly looking good while doing so. I think this is probably, of the 4 classes they have now, my favorite design. I love the high-level armor that they have in play for this. It looks phenomenal. It looks full of life and vibrant, yet somehow at the same time super grim and dark. And overall, the character just looks satisfying. Like, this is a warrior. I can see that. But I think that I'm going to be saying that kind of stuff a lot. I am just in awe at the design choices that they've made, especially on the visual side of things for this whole game. So, the warrior, let's jump in and have a look at the stats first, and then the skills. There's not much to say about the stats. There's really not much I can tell you about it because you don't really have a frame of reference for it, but you can have a look here. You will notice that a few things will differ when I jump over to the next one, which will be the hunter, but it's not all that important. Your stats and stuff will go up as you level. You'll get a bit stronger. That's all you need to know. In terms of the skills, there's a lot of interesting stuff on warrior here. First up, we have whirlwind that lets you attack all nearby enemies, dealing physical damage. It can be channeled to increase the duration. It's pretty self-explanatory and looks pretty awesome in this game as well. Then we have Quake, and you'll notice that the whirlwind uses the axe while Quake uses the mace. Slam the ground, dealing physical damage and slowing enemies hit. Yeah, self-explanatory. Iron grip. Pull a foe towards you, dealing physical damage and stunning them for a short duration. Useful. Then rampage. Become enraged and begin attacking uncontrollably. While enraged, you become unstoppable and deal bonus damage for a duration. Then we have 2 upgrades for Rampage. We have Battle Frenzy, which is the same thing, but you are not uncontrollable. You can actually control your actions. Then we have Rage and Shout, which lets out a tremendous roar, incapacitating enemies and becoming enraged for a short duration. Which is pretty cool, because that gives you a chance to just sort of like mow them down. It's really good. Then we have Charge, which is incredibly satisfying. You rush forward, striking the first enemy in your path, dealing physical damage. Enemies that are pinned against a wall are briefly incapacitated, which is also pretty cool. It's a nice little extra. Then finally, Heroic Leap, which is the pinnacle of satisfying. It's just super fun to use. Jump to the target location, deal in physical damage, and slow in enemies. Costs 20 rage. It's great. It's just great. Then, before we move on, I will just say there's a trait menu here. I'm not going to go into this in depth. I'm not even going to show you all the traits that are available. This is something you're going to want to do. This is something you're going to want to sort of go through when you've picked a class to jump into and to level. It's cool. There's a lot of interesting traits here, and they seem to have set the tree up in a fun and interesting way. I actually just want to say I wish they would let us zoom in like this and actually see the character, because when you click on the traits you can see it zooms in on the character's face, but then it blurs the character, so it kind of defeats the purpose. But they don't really let you zoom anywhere here, and it makes me a little sad, because I'd like to zoom. The character models are so good. Anyway, that's it for the warrior. We're going to move on now to the hunter. The hunter is a relentless tracker, mastering the bow, setting clever traps, and commanding her loyal sentinel to scout and strike. They move with effortless agility and beauty. They look great. Phenomenal. It's an elf, as you can see by the ears. And again, just like the warrior, I am in awe at the design. It looks really cool. And even in-game, it just fits in to the world, to the roster that they have. It looks awesome. They got a bow, so probably going to be my first port of call as I jump in here. Let's have a peek at the stats. Again, not much here. Your frame of reference is 2 characters thus far, so you might not be able to really pick out anything noteworthy. But there it is. There it is. And the skills. Elven Dance. Perform an evasive maneuver and counter-attack with a charged shot. Pretty cool. I felt when using this, my input for this specific ability was that it looked too floaty and stiff. And I hope that they can address that at some point. I just feel like it sort of breaks immersion a little bit when your character like skates across the ground backwards. Maybe it's a me thing that doesn't like it. I just think it looks a little weird and out of place. That's the only input I have. I think that might be the only sort of what you could see as negative input I have for anything in this game. It's early days, but I still think it's something that they might want to look at. Then we have Seed Bomb. All the others are fantastic, by the way. As we go through here, you'll see there's a bunch of really cool ones. Seed Bomb. Throw a special seed that detonates after a short duration, dealing physical damage and knocking targets away. Then Spore Bomb. A modified seed that detonates on impact, creating a poison cloud. And then finally we have Flying Seed Bomb. It's a flying seed that sticks to objects that are hit. Then you can shoot it to detonate it. Pretty cool. Yeah. Traps. Bear Trap. Place a trap on the ground that roots and damages your prey. These are very useful because they are quite hard to spot. They sort of blend in quite well with the environment, and you will notice that some of the videos here don't work, but it's alright. It's alright. You'll see it in the next one. Bramble Trap. Place a trap that spawns entangling vines, which snare enemies that get touched. It just snares them, it slows them down a little bit. The bear trap actually it sort of roots them in place. Then we have the shock beetle. Place down a burrowing beetle that will run towards approaching enemies, causing nature damage and stunning them for a short duration. Also, very cool. The traps, super fun to use. And again, I love the idea that they don't look like a big metal bear trap that's just sitting there. When you see the bear trap, it's actually sort of made of like roots and plants and stuff like that. It's hard to see. It's actually really hard to see. Same for the bramble trap. It sort of blends in with the environment. It's very cool. I love the design. Then we have Sentinel Strike. Consume all your swiftness to summon an intangible sentinel that soars across a great distance, dealing nature damage to all enemies in its path. The more swiftness you use, the faster you can charge the strike. Sentinel Cyclone. Consume your swiftness to command your sentinel to create a cyclone at the target location, damaging and snaring enemies. The more swiftness you use, the longer it will last. Also looks really cool. Then we have Sentinel Call. Consume your swiftness and command your sentinel to fly towards attacking forward and attacking the first enemy in its path. The more swiftness you use, the stronger your sentinel becomes. It's pretty cool. This one did, when I played, look a little janky, but as you can actually see there, but it does work quite well. And for those wondering why my characters are level 1, I played in the previous test, not in this one. They made a lot of the abilities feel good. They make sense for the classes that they're in, and I dig that. Here's the trait menu. We are not going to look at the traits right now, as I mentioned on the warrior side of things. This is something that you'll want to look at when you jump in and spend some time here for yourself. Alright. With that said, however, we're going to jump onto the priest. The priest wields divine power to heal allies, smite foes, and glide with the aid of levitation. Guided by faith, she's a beacon of hope and a relentless force against the darkness. Pretty cool. I also like the design of this. Very much a situation where she is probably the most useful of the characters in a group, but she can still very much play solo by herself. I like that about this. And, sorry, wrong button. I do feel like she has some very interesting abilities as well. Here's her stats. They look, once again, quite similar to those of the other characters. They all start with sort of close to the same, with a few variations here and there. For her skills, Healing Spark, charge your weapon with light, healing multiple injured allies. Class skills, Divine Mirror, call forth a Holy Mirror which absorbs harmful projectiles until destroyed. Floating Mirror, call forth a Holy Mirror that slowly floats forward, absorbing harmful projectiles until destroyed. Then we have Gleaming Star, manifest a glowing shard of light that travels outwards, dealing holy damage to enemies hit. Reactivating it will detonate it early. Guided Star, manifest a glowing shard of light under direct control of the priest that deals holy damage to the enemy that's hit. You can reactivate it once again to detonate it early. And then finally, Bouncing Star. It fires a star of holy light forward. If it hits an enemy, it'll bounce and travel forward towards another enemy for up to 3 bounces. For each bounce, the star gains power. It also bounces off of walls and reflective surfaces. If the star does not bounce for 10 seconds, it'll explode and turn into a holy spark. Then our final list here, Heaven's Fury. Call down a pillar of light upon the target, dealing unblockable holy damage and stunning them for a short duration. That looks pretty cool. Heaven's Ward. The priest calls down a pillar of light on the targeted ally in front of her after 3 seconds, dealing holy damage and incapacitating the target for 2 seconds. Then finally, Heavenly Wrath. You call down a pillar of light that travels outward in front of you for every enemy hit in its path. Heaven's Fury is cast upon them, dealing damage and stunning them. That's like, it's super powerful. And it looks cool too. It looks cool. Then for the traits, as I mentioned, we aren't peeking at these. We're just having a quick look. I'll just skip through them here and you can pause on them if you want to. But the traits, kind of less important. You get these as you level up. Pretty cool. Lots of extra stuff you can do with them. Then, however, we're going to move on to our final class, the Rogue. The Rogue is a master of stealth and deception, striking from the shadows with envenomed blades. Agile and cunning, they excel in outsmarting foes and escaping unseen. Yeah, they look like a rogue as well. Pretty much like a rogue would look. You can put their armor on if you want to. I actually took it off for recording some parts of the video. They look good. I like the design. For their stats, again, very similar to the other characters. So it won't really do much or mean much. But their skills are definitely not similar. First up, we have Blade Rush. Charge forward with such speed that you pass through enemies dealing physical damage. Enemies hit by your Blade Rush become marked, causing physical damage to apply hemorrhage buildup. Attacking with your swords causes extra buildup. Then we have the class skills, Poison Claw. Instantly strike with your claw, dealing physical damage, and causes your attacks to apply poison buildup on the target for a short duration. Then Serrated Claw. Instantly strike with your claw, dealing physical damage, cause your attacks to apply hemorrhage buildup on the target for a short duration. And then Infected Claw. Instantly strike with your claw once more, dealing physical damage, and cause your attacks to apply disease buildup on the target. This is a lot of buildup. Then we have Stealth. Fade out and enter stealth for a limited duration. Any direct damage done or taken will break the effect. That's pretty self-explanatory. The stealth in this game is not complete 100% invisibility, but it is pretty hard to see. I would say that if you stand in still, you will most likely remain undetected. Creep. You fade out, gaining stealth. However, your movement speed is decreased and your moving drains your stamina. And then Phantom Veil. Enter stealth briefly and summon a low health decoy which continues with your current movement path. While the decoy is active, you can reactivate Phantom Veil to teleport to its location. It's pretty nice. Then we have class skill 3, Phantom Dagger. Throw a dagger which deals physical damage and marks the first target hit. You can reactivate it to teleport behind the marked target. Grapple. Hurl a grappling hook to the target and pull yourself towards them, dealing physical damage and generating adrenaline. Then finally we have Visage. Summon a slow moving intangible shadow that deals shadow damage and slows enemies it passes through. While the shadow is active, you can reactivate Visage to teleport to its location. So it's a very mobile class. And that is basically that. Here is the trait menu. Again, these are the kinds of things you're going to want to come and look at for yourself when you do jump in, and I hope that you guys do jump in, because this is looking mighty exciting. Once you've done all of this, once you've chosen your class, entered your name, then you create it and you jump into your house creation. As I mentioned before, the house name is the account name, and it appears as the surname for your characters. You cannot change this later. The house customization, creation and stuff is a little bugged right now. You can't really select the sigils and stuff like that, but just know when this does come online and when it's something that gets used, you'll be able to customize your sigil, your flag here. I'm assuming with the colors, with the borders, with the sigil that you have. It would obviously be cool if you could pick up or earn different bits and pieces that you can use to further enhance your sigil as you keep playing. That would be kind of sick. You don't need to change the name, obviously. You can sort of, I've noticed that you can sort of scroll over here really quickly and you can see examples of some of the sigils here, but it's a very scuffed way of looking at it. Just know that it is something that they are working on, and it's something that is going to be, let's just say, improved down the line. So you put your house name in there, you create it, house slurm. Confirm, absolutely, and then you can jump into the I mean, this is fantastic. Lumen of House Slurm, it just looks amazing. Then you can jump into the lobby and you can start playing. And as you may have realized, I have shown you what the characters look like sort of before and after, with the masks and stuff on and off, just the different versions of them throughout the video. This is where the game takes on a life that you may know from other games that exist that are like this. You know, I think it started recently with Tarkov being extremely popular. There's a lot of other games like this that have done the rounds. Dark and Darker comes to mind immediately. And yeah, you've got your base of operations here, the city, your quests, the lodge, and all sorts of other stuff that you can jump into. You can fiddle around here, you can make things, you can buy things, and so on and so forth. The game looks phenomenal. And that is going to bring us to the outro. I love what they've got here. I love the look and feel of Legacy, Steel and Sorcery. I think that you can clearly and plainly see the devs that are working on this are making a passion project, and the devs that are working on this understand the design that they're going for. They have a very clear vision that they're working towards, and I love the vision that I'm seeing. I love it. All the choices that they seem to be making in terms of design and in terms of aesthetics, because let's be real, that's one of the main reasons I make videos like this, seem to be just straight up perfect. I'm a huge fan of the characters and the classes that they have in here right now. I'm also a massive fan of the visuals overall of the game. The way it looks, the way it performs, the way it all comes together. And it's not just an impressive engine doing impressive things. The design is also to be applauded. They've done some phenomenal stuff with it. They've made it look awesome. You know, they've made it look how we as gamers look back on how World of Warcraft felt back in the day. You know? And it's like it shines through. You can see these guys worked on World of Warcraft in the past. I love it. I love it. It's like they're creating that dream game. It's like when we walked through Elwyn Forest for the first time. That's how it felt. The way this looks now, back then. I know, it's kind of a difficult thing to wrap your head around, but like, man, phenomenal. I'm a big fan. I'm super excited to cover this going forward. I realize there wasn't much here right now, but they are actively working on it. I'm very keen to check the early access out when it actually releases, and going up to full launch, I will be here. So, thank you guys for joining me for this. I appreciate it. You can, as always, just give this video a like and share it and do all that other good stuff. Leave some kind words for the devs, or leave some input as well, like what classes would you like to see, what changes or additions would you like in the game, all the rest. They watch these videos sometimes, dudes. They do. So it might be worthwhile. As always, my links can be found below, my coffee page and my Twitch channel and all the rest. And yeah, if you guys are jumping into this for the playtests, waiting for early access or anything else, have fun. Enjoy. Happy that.